no one will ever say it to your face. Nobody is going to look you in the eye and tell you they are jealous of you. It does not work that way. Jealousy is not honest. It is not direct. It does not announce itself. Instead, it hides. It dresses up in other clothes. It puts on the costume of curiosity, of concern, sometimes even of encouragement. And it comes to you through questions. Questions that sound innocent. Questions that feel almost friendly, but that carry, underneath them, a very specific emotional weight that you have probably felt before without being able to name it. After this video, you will always be able to name it. Friedrich Nietzsche spent his life studying the psychology of what he called ressentiment, the specific psychological state of a person who wants something they do not have, cannot directly pursue it, and transforms that frustration into a subtle attack on the person who has it. Not through anger, not through open confrontation, through questions, through doubts disguised as concern, through small, precise remarks that chip away at your confidence and your momentum without ever looking like hostility. Once you understand how this works, once you can recognize it in real time, it loses almost all of its power over you. Because the moment you see the mechanism clearly, the questions stop landing, and you stop shrinking yourself in response to them. Here is the foundation you need first. Jealousy is not about you. That is the most important thing to understand before anything else. When a jealous person asks you a question designed to minimize your success, cast doubt on your progress, or make you feel uncomfortable about what you have built, they are not actually reacting to you. They are reacting to themselves. Specifically, to the gap between where they are and where you are, between what they have chosen to do and what you have chosen to do, between the life they have been willing to build and the one they are watching you build. Your progress holds up a mirror, and not everyone can stand what they see in it. This is what Nietzsche understood with exceptional clarity. He wrote about the person who cannot tolerate the success of others, not because the other person has done anything wrong, but because that success makes the comparison inescapable. The jealous person is not suffering because of what you have. They are suffering because of what your success reveals about their own choices. And rather than sit with that revelation and use it as motivation, they do something far more instinctive. They try to bring the mirror down. The 5 questions are the tools they use to do it. Each one is a specific psychological move. Each one has a specific purpose, and each one tells you, if you know how to listen, exactly what the person asking it is most insecure about in their own life. Question number 1. Were you just lucky? This is the first and most common disguise. Your success is acknowledged, but it is quietly stripped of everything you did to earn it. You worked for a year on something and it paid off. You were just lucky. You built something through discipline and sacrifice, perfect timing, good fortune. The psychology behind this question is specific. If your success is the result of luck, random, external, not replicable, then it says nothing about the gap between you and the person asking. They are not behind because of their choices or their effort. They're simply waiting for their luck to arrive. The question protects them from the more uncomfortable truth that your result came from your decisions, and their result came from theirs. When you hear this question, understand what is not being said. It is not a comment about you. It is a defense mechanism about them. They are not diminishing your work. They are protecting their own narrative about why they have not done the same. Question number 2. Are you sure it's going to last? You share something good, a relationship that is working, a business that is growing, a transformation that has taken hold. And before you have even finished speaking, the response is not celebration.
It is a gentle, concerned-sounding doubt. The market is unpredictable. These things have a way of reversing. Are you sure this is sustainable? This question is not caution. It is anticipation of your failure. Nietzsche understood this precise dynamic. He wrote that people suffer less from their own circumstances than from the success of
Others. Why? Because your stability creates a particularly uncomfortable kind of comparison. You are not just succeeding, you are succeeding consistently. And consistency, the willingness to build something and protect it over time, is what the person asking this question has not been able to maintain. Their own experiences of things not lasting are being projected onto yours. If you fail, the comparison disappears. If you succeed long-term, it intensifies. Do not mistake this question for wisdom. It is fear wearing the clothing of advice. Question number 3. How much do you earn exactly? Money questions, when they are pressing, when they push past the polite deflection into specific numbers, are never simple curiosity. They are measurement. They are the jealous person installing a comparison metric so they can position themselves relative to you. And once the number lands, two things are possible. If it is lower than expected, visible relief. If it is higher than expected, a quick subject change or a minimization. Either way, the number is not really about your finances. It is about their internal hierarchy. This is what Nietzsche called the morality of measurement, the compulsive need to know where one stands relative to others, because without the comparative number, the person has no way to assess their own worth. Genuine self-confidence does not require your number to feel okay about itself. Only the person who has no internal metric of their own value needs to borrow yours as a reference point. You are never obligated to provide the reference point, and the person who pushes for it after you have politely deflected has already told you what they came for. Question number 4. Aren't you afraid of failing? This question sounds like concern. It sounds like someone who cares about you and wants to make sure you have considered the risks. But when it comes from someone who has been watching your growth with discomfort, it is something very different. It is a projection. The person asking this question is afraid of failing. They are sitting inside their own hesitation, watching you move forward without the hesitation they cannot escape, and they are genuinely unable to understand how you are doing it. And so they assume you must not be seeing what they see. The danger must be there, you just haven't spotted it yet. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is directly relevant here, not as domination over others, but as the fundamental drive to act, to create, to move toward rather than away from your full potential. The person who is afraid to fail has put their will to power in a box. It is still there, but it has been locked away by the fear of exposure, of judgment, of discovering that their best was not enough. Watching you act without that lock threatens the entire system they have built around their own inaction. The question is not about your risks. It is about their paralysis. Question number 5. Why you? This is the one that is sometimes never spoken out loud, but it is always the one underneath all the others. Why you and not them? Why did your relationship work and their one didn't? Why did your business take off when theirs struggled? Why are you the one who changed when they have been trying to change for years? This question feels, to the person carrying it, like a question about fairness, about the universe distributing outcomes unequally, about some invisible force that gave to you and withheld from them. But it is not actually about fairness. It is about the one comparison that jealousy will never allow itself to make honestly.
the comparison of processes rather than results. Jealousy looks at the destination and asks why it is yours. It systematically refuses to look at the road that was walked to get there. The early mornings, the failed attempts nobody saw, the consistency maintained through the long periods when nothing seemed to be working. The decision made quietly 100 times to keep going. Your result does not exist without your process. And the person asking why you are the one who has it cannot afford to examine the process honestly, because an honest examination of the process would require an honest examination of their own. Now here is the part that most people never talk about. The real cost of encountering these questions consistently is not what they take from you directly. It is what you start doing to yourself in response. You start downplaying your
Wins before you share them. You start qualifying your success before anyone has had the chance to challenge it. You start choosing carefully which relationships you share your progress in. And slowly, the genuine wins stop being shared at all. You carry them quietly, alone. Because you have learned that the people around you cannot hold them without it costing the relationship something. This is the most dangerous outcome of exposure to consistent jealousy. Not that it affects how others see you, that it changes how much of yourself you are willing to let be visible. And a person who hides their progress to manage others' discomfort is paying for their relationships with their own growth. Stop paying that price. Here is exactly what to do. 5 clear practices. The first, recognize the pattern, not just the question. When one of these 5 questions arrives, do not respond to the surface. Understand what is actually being communicated. Do not get defensive. Do not explain your success in greater detail to justify it to them. Simply understand, this is not a question about you. It is information about where they are. That understanding will calm your response immediately. The second, do not shrink your success to manage their discomfort. This is the most important practice. If you have earned something, you do not owe anyone a diminished version of it to make the comparison less uncomfortable for them. You can be warm. You can be generous. You can be genuinely humble. But reducing what you have built to ease someone else's insecurity is a trade that always costs more than it protects. The third, respond with calm neutrality, not defensiveness. You do not need to justify your success, challenge their framing, or educate them on how hard you worked. A calm, unaffected response to a diminishing question is the most powerful answer available. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and nothing more. No defense, no counter-argument, no evidence presented. Calm neutrality communicates something they cannot argue with, that their question did not land. The fourth, be thoughtful about who gets access to your progress. Not secretive, thoughtful. There are people in your life whose response to your wins is genuine warmth, and whose response to your struggles is genuine support. Those are the people who earn full access. There are people whose response to both is primarily comparative. Those people get a curated version, not out of hostility, out of self-preservation. The fifth, build your own standard of measurement. The root of why jealousy's questions sting is that at some level, comparison still holds power over you. The work, the real work underneath all of this, is to develop an internal metric so clear and so grounded in your own values and your own direction that another person's assessment of your progress simply does not have the authority it once had. You know what you are building. You know what it cost you.
You know where you are going. A question designed to cast doubt on any of that lands differently when you are certain of all three. Marcus Aurelius wrote that most of the trouble in human life comes from watching what others are doing and saying and thinking, rather than focusing entirely on your own path. The jealous person has abandoned their own path to study yours, and in doing so, they have handed you one of the most useful pieces of information available: that your path is visible enough to be worth studying, that your progress is real enough to disturb, that you are moving. The questions will keep coming. They always do for people who are genuinely building something. The people who never move, never risk, never grow, they attract very few questions of this kind. It is the ones who are actually going somewhere that make the comparison uncomfortable enough to produce these disguised attacks. So, when the questions arrive, hear them for what they are. Not a commentary on your worth or the sustainability of your success, evidence that you are doing something that others have not yet been willing to do. That is all they are. And that understanding is the only response they deserve. Comment the question you have heard the most, the specific one that has been used on you by someone specific in a situation you are thinking of right now. You do not have to name them, just the number. I read every single one. If this video has helped you, like this video and subscribe to the channel now for more
Powerful and helpful videos like this. See you in the next one.